Hey, you made it. Come on in and join me. I'm Angela, and this is me making sense of myself. I'm super glad you're here. If you haven't done so yet, hit the subscribe button so that you can follow the adventure as it unfolds. And if you love this podcast, share it with your friends. You have the capacity to understand yourself, and that's through connecting with and understanding other people. So let's get to it. This week's topic was about going from only existing to really living. In the first video of the playlist, I talked about when I felt like I was only existing. In the next video, I talked about how I shifted from only existing to really living. And in the third video, I focused on really living. Then we meditated, and in this video, that I lovingly call the Fridity or the Friday Ditty, I'm going to share with you a parable about this week's topic, from only existing to really living, along with explaining what happened inside of me. So, here we go. Once there was a small village nestled at the foot of a great mountain. The villagers spent their days toiling in the fields, tending to their crops and animals. Life was simple, and they were content with their existence. One day, a traveler arrived in the village and shared stories of the world beyond the mountain. He spoke of wondrous lands, vibrant cities, and endless opportunities. The villagers listened with awe, but some couldn't help but feel a pang of longing for something more. One young woman named Aria felt a stirring within her heart. She yearned to experience the world outside her village, to embrace new adventures, and to truly live. Aria embarked on a journey to climb the mountain, facing challenges and uncertainties along the way. As she reached the summit, she gasped in awe at the breathtaking view before her. The world stretched out endlessly, filled with possibilities and unknown wonders. From that moment onward, Aria's perspective shifted. She no longer felt like she was merely existing. Instead, she embraced the thrill of really living, exploring new lands, meeting diverse people, and experiencing the richness of life. The villagers watched Aria's transformation with amazement, and they too found courage to break free from their comfort zones and pursue their dreams. In the end, the village flourished with a new vitality as its people learned to shift from only existing to really living, inspired by Aria's courageous journey. This parable teaches us that sometimes we need to venture beyond our familiar surroundings and embrace new experiences to truly discover the beauty of living. And I would argue sometimes it's not even venturing beyond our familiar surroundings. Sometimes that really living happens right there. The other day I was watching Ralph Breaks the Internet, and I love the scene where Vanellope is telling Ralph how she doesn't feel like she's living. She constantly wonders, like, if she wishes she could have new tracks in her game, and like, isn't there more? So she's starting to wonder if in this only existing moment. Yet at the same time, she says a little bit later in one of the scenes, like, but I never really knew if I was going to win a race or not. And that was the exciting part. So one of the things I've noticed is, for me, existing can feel like, I don't know, sometimes, I've got to be honest, sometimes I want to just exist. And other times it's like there's this sense of, I'm just existing and I need to do more. And so I don't know exactly at what point I could tell you that, I'm only existing. I can only speak to that moment right before or right when I'm thinking, this is boring. I want to do something different. So wishing those new and different things would happen tells me, but I also wonder, does that mean I wasn't living before? And I'm not sure that that's what that means. I've been investigating this all week, and I'm starting to think that maybe that was living in those moments. Maybe that was the really living, the calm moments. And maybe it's also doing those things that are challenging and scary. So I think that maybe only existing is good sometimes, or it works out for me sometimes, and other times I want to be really living. So this is kind of where I'm going with this right now. Does it have to be right or wrong? I'm not certain that it does. But I do love this quote from Vanellope in Ralph Breaks the Internet, where she says that really living is that feeling, that not knowing what's coming next feeling. And I do think that there is something really great in that not knowing what's coming next feeling. And I also think that sometimes I can have a lot of not knowing what's coming next, and then I need that break. So I need to go back to like that only existing. And so sometimes when I'm really, really living, I think that's when I'm like, oh, can I please just exist for a minute? So I think that it's in both of these places that life happens. And sometimes I just need to do things differently. Now, there are moments where it's like, from a mystical standpoint, I do want to stay awake. So, a question I was asking myself was, what are some things I can do to stay awake or really live? And I think maybe that's really being present in the moment and appreciating it for exactly what it is. I've got a random reminder right now that the question I think is something like, what is loving you right now? And noticing everything around me that is available to me in this world, that because it's available, it loves me. And I know that's a little bit mystical probably for some of you, but maybe follow me for a second. The computer loves me because it's giving me the ability to do things that I wouldn't otherwise be able to do, and it's still working. The food is loving me by sacrificing its life to give me life. Again, I know this might be a little mystical, and for me, it's actually really helpful for me to bring me into the present moment and to remind me that right now, I can be awake. I can be enjoying exactly what is here in this moment. And I want to share this poem from Rumi with you that I think is really beautiful, and it's called The Breeze at Dawn. The breeze at dawn has its secrets to tell you. Don't go back to sleep. You must ask for what you really want. Don't go back to sleep. People are going back and forth across the door sill where the two worlds touch. The door is round and open. Don't go back to sleep. And that's by Rumi. So I am actually interested in what you think. Do you think that there are definitely times where we just exist and just live? Or is there something in between, and maybe is there a spectrum happening? I know what I think it is for me, and I think I talked about that. I think there might be a spectrum, but I also think that sometimes, really living is fantastic, and then other times just existing or only existing is also fantastic. And I also know it flip-flops, where really living is icky and only existing is icky. So I would be interested to hear from you guys. I don't usually share those types of thoughts, but there you have it. So here's the closing poem. I spoke about making the shift into really living and the little things I did to start truly giving. It's not always about a huge, forceful transition, but small changes can lead to a grander vision. Like, share, comment below to let me know if there are any topics you'd like me to explore next. And remember to subscribe to me making sense of myself, not of yourself, for doses of inspiration and self-discovery. Remember, if you have a question, send it over, DM me on Instagram. I'll answer it. Let's do this together. I'm Angela, and this is me making sense of myself.